In this video, we're going to take a look at New Jersey Motorsports Park's Thunderbolt course. Thunderbolt is a 2.25-mile track located in Millville, New Jersey. It has 12 corners and 2 chicane options. The track rewards power heavily, though its second half is quite technical. Let's take a quick look at the track map. At the bottom center of your screen is the start-finish line and front straightaway. The track progresses clockwise from there. Turn 1, the bottom left of your screen, as you can see, is kind of wide open corner. The braking zone's downhill, and the track is a little bit downhill through the corner. It's pretty easy to run wide here if you carry too much speed. Turn 2 is a right-hander up over a blind crest. There's a lot of exit curbing, just in case you run wide. Power on the turn 3, flat, wide open right-hand corner. There's a chicane option here that we'll discuss as well. Down the backstretch, there's a slight uphill before turn 4. It's a little whoopty kind of that you go over to before a braking zone. Then you go into the braking zone, turn 4, fast right-hand corner with a little more camber on the inside than on the outside. Turn 5 has a heavy braking zone. There's a left-hander a little more than 90 degrees. You'll run wide on exit and slowly move yourself back across the track to prepare for the entrance at turn 6. Turn 6 kind of depends on your car. Miatas can do it flat out. Everyone else will have to brake. It's a late apex, flat corner. Turn 7 has a very heavy braking zone. You run wide into what is essentially turn 8, that long crest there. Turn 9 is a very tricky corner with a couple of lines through it. It's uphill coming into the corner, but downhill on exit. It depends if you have traffic around you or not as to what different lines you can take through turn 9. Turn 10, sometimes called the octopus, is a flattish left-hand corner that has an uphill exit. That takes you into 11A and B, which is basically a set of S's. After that, it's turn 12, a fast right-hander, and that takes you back onto the front stretch. So let's check out some video here. This is me coming down the front stretch, coming into turn 1. As I said before, it's a downhill braking zone. As you turn in, you'll notice that this curbing here is very high. This BRZ in front of me does it perfectly. He gets 2 tires right at the edge of the curb without actually touching the curb. So you come through the apex and run out wide and put 2 tires on this exit curbing. So we're going to switch to a clip where I actually get turn 2 right. So here I am on the exit of 1, 2 tires on the curbing. It's a late turn in. You go down and just get a little bit of that inside curb. And you can run out onto as much of the exit curb as you want. It's all power here. It's wide open. The later you turn in, the better. You go down and try and just barely get that apex curb. You can run out onto the wide exit curb if you'd like. So here's that uphill that I was talking about on the backstretch. It really unsettles the car as you come over the crest because it makes the shocks bounce. So you really want to make sure the car's leveled out before you get onto the brakes here for turn 4. Turn 4 is pretty deceptive. You can carry a lot more speed through there than you might think. I usually start braking right around the beginning of this entrance curbing here on the left-hand side. As you go down for the apex, you'll start to notice that there's a lot of positive camber at the center of the corner that really helps the car stick. You can kind of see it here. My car's sloped to the right, even though it's a right-hand corner. So if you carry enough speed through here, you'll wind up on the exit curbing on the left-hand side of the track. That changes your entrance to turn 5 a little bit. It'll be more of a mid-track entrance. Here, I don't carry enough speed through 4, so I don't quite make it out to that exit curbing, and I move it all the way back over to the right-hand side of the track. As soon as the car straightens out, I'm pretty much back on the brakes. It's a late apex here, and you're going down and trying to get the first layer of that 2 layers of curb. On the way out, you're going to track out all the way to the right, and then you really take your time coming back over to the left-hand side of the track to set up for turn 6. Faster cars are going to need to brake here, but a Miata can do this flat out. The objective is to turn in as late as possible. Even here, I turned in a little too early, but you want to get right down to that first layer of apex curb and run out to the exit curb. For turn 7, you want to stay as track left as possible. You get hard on the brakes and then come down and get that apex curbing. Faster cars and faster lines will definitely get that exit curb on the left-hand side of your screen, but a slower car like a Miata, or if you take the line too slow, you want to exit about mid-track. There's a lot of speed that you can lose going up the banking there that takes you into turn 8 if you try and drive the car to the top of the track. You just want to let your momentum carry you, and if you don't have enough momentum, just keep it mid-track. Turn 8 is basically one big setup for turn 9. If you carried a lot of speed or you have a faster car, you're going to generally stay more mid-track here, getting ready for the entrance to turn 9. In a Miata or a slower line through turn 7, you'll wind your car down to the inside of the track and get along the grass in the apex curbing. And instead of taking it as a sweeping arc, you're going to basically turn the corner into a 90 degree. Right where this apex curbing runs out is where I hit the brakes to turn into turn 9, right along that dirt there. And then I straighten the wheel out just a little bit to get maximum braking, and then turn the car back in hard for turn 9. The trick to getting turn 10 right is getting the exit of turn 9 right. So you really need to smoothly transition the weight of your car from the left-hand side to the right-hand side without being too jerky about it. And slow in, fast out is a really big point for turn 10. The slower you come in, the more you can wind it down to this apex curbing here and kind of ride the grip limit until the track starts opening up here as you wind the wheel back out. So now you go into the S's here, and I generally use the speed I got through turn 10 to stay as far right here and just pinch down on the first kink. That way I have almost a straight shot through the left-handed kink out to turn 12. My goal is always to have the least wheel input from the second left-hand kink all the way to turn 12. That way I can carry much more speed down the front stretch. Turn 12 is pretty much flat out in every car. You just wind the wheel down and go for that apex curbing. You can get as much or as little of it as you want. It's pretty flat, and then you run out to the exit curbing on the left-hand side, and then it's all power down the front straightaway. So let's take a look at it, no edits. Here we go. Down into turn 1, you're hard on the brakes. You turn it in, you go for that apex curbing. You just barely put your wheels on it. Run it all the way out to the exit. Turn 2 is a late turn in. I don't turn in quite late enough here, and I'll wind up on the exit curb here. That's not a big deal. Flat out between 2 and 3 as you're going down to 3. Remember, that's also a late turn in. You're going to go for this apex curbing. It's going to be wide open. You run it out to the left here. As you come up over this crest, remember, the car's going to be a little bit unsettled, so after it bounces, that's when you get in the brakes. You get ready for your turn 4. Go right for the apex. Use that positive camber to hang some speed in there. Bring it back around for turn 5. Get hard in the brakes. Bring it down. It's a late turn in. I didn't quite get it all the way down there. As you run out, use that exit curbing. You slowly come back across the track for turn 6. If you need to, get into the brakes, but remember, as late as possible here. Turn in as late as you can. Wind it down to the apex and run it back out to that exit curbing coming up to turn 7. You're going to be hard in the brakes, and you kind of dive straight for that center corner and run it as far as your momentum will take you. I didn't quite get all the way to the exit there because I wasn't going fast enough. You wind it back down for turn 8. You'll see my hands straighten out as I get in the brakes so I don't lock up the front tires. Nice and tight through turn 9. Slowly transition your weight as you come into turn 10. You want to stay down on that carousel curbing on the inside here. You're just barely in the throttle until you get into the uphill and you start feeling the grip come on. You run the car out a little bit here and kind of pinch it down on the first kink and get as much as apex as you want. Just keep the wheel straight. Turn 12, here we go. Just down on the corner and run it all the way wide. It's flat out in every single car I can think of. And then it's power down on the front stretch, and that's once around NJMP Thunderbolt. So there's a couple of configurations for NJMP Thunderbolt, so we're just going to take a quick glance back at the track map here so I can discuss them before we do a little bit of video for it. You can see right after turn 1 there's a chicane option. I've never seen cars run this option. I see motorcycles run it every once in a while, but never cars, so we're not going to cover it here. Up on turn 3 at the top left of your screen, you can see that there's a chicane option, and cars do run that occasionally, so we're going to cover it here. So here we are, exit of turn 2, headed down towards what would normally be turn 3, but today there's the chicane option. On my right-hand side, you'll notice a tire barrier. Right when that tire barrier runs out, that's when I start hitting the brakes for the entrance to the chicane. This first right-hander is pretty much center corner turn in. You can do it a little bit late, but generally I want to stay as far track right as I can before the quick left-hander here. It's all about transitioning your weight and making sure that you get a fast run through the left-hander in order to keep your speed going here for the right-hander. As you can see, the apex curbing here is really bumpy. Generally, you can stay off it, but if you wind up cutting the left-hander curbing a little bit, it's alright. You just want to make sure that the car is stable enough going into the right-hander that leads onto the backstretch that you can carry a lot of speed through there. Because you're not running turn 3, you're running the chicane option, you're going to carry a lot less speed down the backstretch, which means your braking zone for turn 4 is going to be a lot later, or you might forgo your brakes altogether depending on the car. The line is still the same. You want to go straight down for the apex and try and get as much of that positive camber on the bottom of the track as you can, and then you run the car out to the exit curbing. Turn 4 sort of acts as a buffer, so you should be carrying about the same entry speed for turn 5 as you would without the chicane. So pretty much the rest of the track is the same from here on out.